Hi, and this is Jam Jar 34 in his kitchen again, doing some hobby Age of Stigma Mania stuff. Awesomeness. So yeah, this is take two. Something went wrong with my phone. Didn't have enough space in it. So I've deleted some stuff and I'm coming back for some more. So yeah, shout outs. Probably not the same as before video, but I'd like to give a shout out to Idic Beer. Um, His stuff is awesome. His channel is awesome. And I've been looking at his website, and yeah, it's got some cool stuff in there. So yeah, there's as the video went wrong, what I'm doing is I'm replaying um, episode 3. Well, I'm calling it episode 3 of the audio. So yeah, awesome stuff. Getting that going. And in the last video, if you can just about see, compare. Let me see if I can do a bit of a compare. You might be able to see, but I've been using yellow, which is that one. So yeah, on the top, I'll be doing that. And come and join me, paint with me. Be about half an hour, maybe a little bit less. Hopefully a little bit less than before, then it goes up. This is my second video. I've done a Horus Heresy one before, so this is my second, well, my third video, but take 2 of this one. So yeah, without further ado, let's get painting. Let's get these unfinished models done, and yeah, let's get on with this Age of Stigma. It's Friday, and I hope you all have a good weekend.
Tarsus strode towards the largest of the gaps in the wall. As he did so, the storm casts he had left outside streamed into the observatory as their training dictated. The enemy outnumbered them, and only proper discipline would ensure the Bull Heart's victory. He cast his voice to carry over the clatter of Sigmarite plates. Halt! Shields to the vanguard! Sigmar has provided the room. Let us make use of it. Who will hold when the demon winds rage? Liberators turned and sank to one knee in the gaps until a low hedge of shields lined each one. Soon, more retinues joined them, dropping the bottom rims of their shields atop those of their brethren, creating an improvised wall. Tarsus stepped forward into an opening the stormcasts provided for him, and surveyed the approaching enemy. By the realm celestial. The Lord Celestant looked out over the enemy. Foul standards rose over seething ranks of howling barbarians and armored blood warriors. Their numbers dwarfed the small war bands they'd encountered earlier in their travels. This was a horde, in the truest sense of the word. Worst of all were the chained monsters, the Korgoraths, that bellowed and crashed amidst the mortal warriors, including those who prodded and whipped their charges, driving them into a frenzy. Despite the clamour of these monstrosities, Tarsus found his eye drawn to a lean, loathing shape. The creature was made not of flesh, but of dark metal and other less identifiable things. Its bat-like features were twisted in an expression of inhuman agony, and he could see that it was held in check by brass chains and festooned with ruinous icons. A febrile steam rose from its twitching cat-like form as it stalked forward, goaded by a number of bloodstokers who continuously slashed its flanks with barbed whips and prods. What in the name of the great drake is that?
Its name is Ashigaroth.
The vampire had overheard him somehow. Tarsus glanced over his shoulder. The vampire wasn't looking at him, but he noted something in the voice.
What is it? Mine.
Ramus joined Tarsus at the wall.
A dread abyssal. They are things of darkness, bound by necromancy.
He looked at the vampire.
He is no mere
Tarsus waved Ramus to silence and looked back out over the slope of the tor. The ranks of the enemy stirred, and a broad, muscular shape pushed its way through, dragging a screeching Korgorath in its wake. The warrior was no mere blood reaver, Tarsus knew. No, he was of the elite, a champion of the ruinous powers. His skull was surmounted by great curling horns, and his thick chest, where the armor did not cover his flesh, was branded with the sigils of the blood god. He carried a wide-bladed axe in his free hand, and the arm that held the monster's chains was protected by a heavy gauntlet topped by claw-like blades.
I am Tarko Woebringer, exalted amongst all death dealers and master of 100 beasts.
The Korgorath, whose chains he held, slavered and gnashed at the air. The champion hauled back on the chains, fighting to keep the beast from breaking loose.
This is my place, burned with the red coin of crushed shield and splintered spear. Who are you to walk these stones without my permission?
Ramus braced one foot on the broken wall, the haft of his hammer resting across his knee.
He's a talkative one.
The more he talks, the more time we have to make ready.
I know you, for you reek of lightning, and word travels quickly on the road to ruin. The blood god will smile on me for delivering up your skulls, aye, and the skull of my slave as well. For I grown tired of cutting his ever-healing flesh.
The Korgorath shuffled forward, dragging Tarka a few steps.
Bloodswiller is eager to sup on your entrails, silver skins. He and his brothers did for the vampire's bony servants, and they'll do for you as well. Go, Bloodswiller!
Tarka released the chains and stepped back as the monster surged forward. It was not alone in its mad charge across the broken courtyard that separated the Stormcasts from their foes. From behind the Woebringer, several more of the beasts plunged past, freed from their chains by Tarka's oncoming warriors. The Korgoraths bounded through the rubble, covering the distance more swiftly than any man or Stormcast. Tarsus's prosecutors hurtled down, hammers whirring from their hands, to strike with meteoric force. One of the Korgoraths stumbled and fell, its crimson flesh puckered by smoking impact craters.
Shields up!
The first of the monsters thundered towards the gaps in the observatory wall, smashing aside a sundial in its haste. Liberators were thrown back as the Korgorath barreled into them. Hammers thudded into its flesh, and war blades bit at its flanks, but it refused to fall. The shield wall disintegrated into flying bodies as the rest of the monsters tore at its foes.
Ramus, at your command, Lord Celestin.
Ramus thrust his reliquary forward. Lightning crackled about the standard, and then sprang forth in a blinding flash to strike the beast in the chest. The Korgorath stiffened and shrieked.
Judicators!
Bolt storm crossbows hummed, and explosive bolts peppered the monster, dropping it to its knees. Liberators swarmed over it, hammers rising and falling in deadly rhythm. Tarsus looked around. Two more of the beasts were locked in combat with the Decimator and Retributor retinues just inside the chamber, and a third was still outside of the observatory, swiping blindly at the swooping forms of the prosecutors who were holding its attention. But the last, the beast the Woebringer had named Bloodswiller, was charging across the observatory floor towards Ramus, whose attentions were on the creatures fighting his Decimator bodyguards. Tarsus moved to intercept the beast. Hearing the monster's approach, Ramus turned, but not quickly enough. Bloodswiller's talons smashed down, knocking the Stormcast Eternal from his feet, his reliquary clattering from his grip. Ramus rolled aside as the Korgorath stomped down, but even as he came to his feet, hammer raised, the monster caught him and lifted him up.
Unhand him, beast!
Tarsus's hammer crashed against Bloodswiller's back, but before he could strike a second, the creature backhanded him hard enough to rattle his armor. He was sent flying backwards and crashed down on the dais, cracking the stone. As the Decimator tried to hack through the wrists of the claw-holding Ramus, Bloodswiller screeched and tore another Stormcast apart. It slung the Lord Relictor down, battering him against the floor and wall. Rames's struggles grew weaker, and none of the nearby warriors could land a telling blow against the frenzied beast to free him. Blue bursts of lightning, spearing upwards towards the heavens, attested to the fate of those who tried. The monster was faster than it looked, and stronger than its kindred. Tarsus pulled himself to his feet and readied himself to lunge back into the fray.
I can save him.
The Lord Celestin looked up to see the unsmiling vampire gazing down at him from where he hung.
I am faster than you even now, and stronger. You will not get close to it before it kills either you or your friend. More, I owe that particular beast for the blow that landed me here in such a humiliating state. I can save him, Stormcast. Free me, or die. It matters not to me.
Tarsus did not hesitate. He spun and brought his sword down, slicing through the rings of the oracle. He toppled forward, and as it did so, Tarsus dropped his weapons and caught him with a grunt of effort. Swiftly, he wrenched the brass spikes free of the vampire's flesh. The creature fell to the dais in a crouch as Tarsus heaved the orrery aside. The vampire glanced up at him. Then, with an eye blink, he was suddenly at the far wall where the sword Tarsus had seen earlier was embedded. As swift as lightning, the vampire tore the blade free from the wall and sprang towards Bloodswiller. The great crimson brute roared and swung a thickly muscled arm, but the vampire dodged the blow and with two hands drove his blade down into the flesh between the beast's shoulder and neck. The sword's blade flared with unholy power, and a crimson steam spurted from the wound. The Korgorath shrieked and flailed, trying to fling the vampire loose. It dropped Ramus, and Tarsus charged forward, weapons at the ready.
Well, what are you waiting for, fools? Help me kill this thing!
Tarsus lunged forward. His hammer crashed against one of the Bloodswiller's bone-studded knees, splintering it. The beast shrilled and sank down, still clawing futilely at the vampire who held tight to his perch on his shoulder. The vampire hissed and gave the hilt of his sword a vicious twist. Then he tore it free in a welter of gore and leapt away. The Korgorath fell forward, its talons gouging the ancient marble floor of the observatory.
Now, Stormcast! Strike now!
Tarsus drove his hammer down on the exposed crown of Bloodswiller's skull, cracking it. Ramus, having regained his feet and his hammer, joined him. Together they struck him again and again, until black ichor spilled across the floor, and the beast fell still. Tarsus looked around. The other Korgoraths had met similar fates, brought down by the weapons and divine fury of the Stormcasts. Already, his warriors were reorganizing their lines and readying themselves for whatever might come next. He looked at the vampire.
What now? Now we finish this.
Tarsus turned towards the gap and extended his sword towards the distant shape of the Woebringer.
Is that the best you can muster? We are still here. Who will stand? Only the faithful!
Hammers crashed against shields.
Only the faithful!
Narka threw back his head and screamed in rage. The Woebringer sliced the air with his axe, and his warriors surged forward, a snarling horde, clad in the colors of blood and brass. Blood reavers, blood warriors, and worse things, bounding in the wake of the mortals. Tarsus stepped back from the gap.
Stand fast, Bullhearts. We have won a short reprieve, but they will come again, in strength. Judicators, thin their ranks. Fall back when they reach the gaps. It'll be close work then. Hammer and shield work, eh, my friends?
He swatted a nearby liberator's shield with the flat of his sword.
Who will be triumphant?
Tarsus nodded.
Only the faithful. Stand fast and fight as if Sigmar himself were watching. Or as if Ramus were watching. But he's closer.
The air throbbed with a hum of bowstring crossbows firing and men screaming. Tarsus glanced quickly towards the gaps in the wall where the Judicators had formed two firing ranks. one kneeling, one standing. Together, they fired into the disorganized mass of foes climbing towards them. The prosecutors harried the enemy as they charged, adding to the tally claimed by the judicators. They had earned a few moments of peace before the battle would be well and truly joined. Nevertheless, the enemy pressed on. Soon, they would be spilling into the observatory. Tarsus caught Ramus, staring at the vampire.
You do not trust him.
You said it yourself. He cannot be trusted.
He saved you.
He saved himself. My fate was incidental.
The vampire strode towards them.
Indeed it was. But for the moment, our paths align. They have my beast. I would have him back. He's precious to me.
Tarsus nodded.
So be it. But if you turn on us, know that it will be my hand that strikes you down.
He raised his hammer for emphasis. The vampire smirked and laid his sword across his shoulder.
Duly noted.
There was a clatter of sigmar as the judicators fell back, and the liberator retinues moved to take their place in the vanguard.
Shields up!
Shields rose and then slammed together, rim to rim, forming a wall of steam. Hammers thumped in a brutal rhythm, akin to the hooves of an auroch as it pawed the ground. Tarsus tightened his grip on the hearts of his weapons.
Hold the line! Move on my order!
The vampire bowed shallowly.
Where do you wish me to go? Shall I take my place in line and fight alongside your warriors?
Tarsus watched the approach of the enemy.
Fight as it pleases you. You are no longer a prisoner.
He glanced at the vampire.
You are free.
The vampire blinked. Then he inclined his head.
As you say.
He turned towards the broken wall as the howls of the blood worshippers filled the air. The first blood reaver burst through the gap at a run, an axe in either hand, and more followed. Soon, a wave of murderous fury swept towards the waiting liberators, who continued their war rhythm, waiting for their Lord Celestine's order. Tarsus stepped off the dais, arms spread and weapons ready.
Hold, full hearts, hold! Ramus!
Call the storm.
Ramus lifted his reliquary and slammed the hearth down so that the sound quavered through the air like the peal of a bell. Outside the observatory, a heavy rain began to fall. Thunder rumbled, and the blood worshippers still outside screamed as crackling streamers of lightning slashed through their ranks, speeding along armor and edges of weapons to lance into branded flesh. Men died in droves, cooked in their armor, or else set aflame as they ran. Confusion swept throughout the enemy.
Full hearts! Lower your horns!
Tarsus pushed through the ranks to the front. Liberators bent forward, their shields thrust forward, and hammers held low.
And forward!
As one, the Liberator retinues began to march. Tarsus led the way, picking up speed with every step. His warriors kept pace, and with a thunderous crash, the shield wall met the front rank of the Blood Reavers. Shields locked as the Liberators pushed forward against the enemy, driving them back. Tarsus fought at the fore, making room for his warriors to move forward with every blow. More enemy warriors continued to press through gaps, even as the front ranks were forced back. Frenzied blood warriors tore through their own fellows as the crush of battle intensified. The Liberators fought efficiently, using their foes' numbers against them. Hammers cracked against knees and shot forward to crush chests. In other such encounters, it had been enough. The Stormcasts were as relentless in their own way as the servants of the Blood God were in theirs, and when they marched, no enemy could stand against them. But soon, numbers began to tell against discipline. Howling blood warriors hooked shields and arms with their axes, dragging the Stormcasts into the depths of the mob and ripping them asunder in explosions of blue light as their spirits returned to the heavens. The hulking shapes of Gorgoraths lurked outside the observatory and tore at the remaining walls in a frenzy, trying to widen the gaps. Debris sifted down from above as cracks raced across the roof and walls of the structure. A section of masonry collapsed with a roar, crushing Stormcasts and Blood Reavers alike. Those liberators who could began to back away, shields still locked. Others could not break away from their opponents and were swiftly surrounded and brought low. More explosions of searing blue light streaked skyward, and Tarsus cursed. He looked around, watching Ramus organize the Retributors and Decimators for a countercharge. It wasn't going to be enough. They were outnumbered 10 to 1, and the enemy wasn't afraid of death. They didn't care if they were crushed, mangled, or pierced. They kept coming, regardless.
Lock shields!
Around him, Liberator retinues stopped their retreat and did as he ordered, forming up around the wide steps of the dais.
We hold here, not one step further.
As he spoke, the prosecutors hurtled into the chamber, striking like lightning and retreating swiftly, trying to take some of the pressure off their comrades. Celestial hammers crashed into the closely packed mobs of blood reavers, hurling broken bodies into the air, but the remainder pressed on. Tarsus waved the judicators forward. Several of the retinues had made the dais defensible, moving the heavy bookshelves and stone biers into place like barricades. Those who were not firing from behind their improvised ramparts moved quickly to take up position behind the liberators. Lightning flickered across the ranks of the enemy, blinding and burning them. A section of the shield wall opened, and Ramus led his paladin brotherhoods forward. The great two-handed axes of the Decimators chopped through crimson armor with ease as the lightning hammers of the Retributors smashed even the strongest Chaos Champion from his feet. But the enemy pressed close about them, and even the heavily armored paladins could not stand alone against such a tide. Still too many of them, he thought. He hoped the observatory would provide some defense against numbers, but it wasn't enough. Over the heads of his warriors and the heaving ranks of the enemy, Tarsus saw the Woebringer fighting his way through his own followers, dragging the creature the vampire had named Arshigarov in his wake, and striking down anyone too slow to get out of his way. The dread abyssal came unwillingly, continuously fighting its chains. As Tarsus took a step toward them, he caught sight of the vampire crouched atop the shattered dome of the observatory, with arms spread and body angled so that he leaned over the chamber below. A guttural chant rose from his lips as he threw back his head. The dread abyssal began to buck and scream in its bindings. The bloodstoker struck the creature with his lash again and again, but the beast only grew more agitated. A weird purple light played across the piles of bones scattered on the floor and in the corners of the great chamber. They began to shiver and rustle, and Tarsus felt his hair stand on him.
Stop it!
Tarka motioned towards the vampire with his axe as he stepped into the observatory, hauling Arshigarov after him by its chains. The bloodstoker followed him and struck the dread abyssal again before smashing off the chains that bound it, gesturing at the vampire with his blade. But rather than lunging immediately towards its former master, the creature twisted about and snapped its ebony jaws shut on the bloodstoker's head. Tarka lashed out at Arshigarov with his axe, and the monster struck at him with its talons, scraping his armor and knocking him back a step as it bounded over him and towards a nearby stormcast. The latter was crushed to the ground, his body evaporating into blue light. The dread abyssal screeched and flung itself into the melee, ravaging all those it could reach without distinction. Blood warrior and stormcast alike fell to its frenzy. Tarsus charged towards the Woebringer, pulling aside any blood reaver foolish enough to get in his way. Behind him, he heard the vampire's chant growing louder, but the Woebringer was his only concern. Even as Tarsus closed with his foe, the Chaos Champion staggered to his feet and sent his axe slicing out. Hammer, sword, and axe clashed in a whirling dance of death as the Bullhard and the Woebringer traded blows.
I will take your armor and mount it upon my lodgepole, warrior. Your skull will be my drinking cup, and your weapons I will give to my slaves.
Woebringer's clawed gauntlet tore Tarsus's warcloak.
After I am finished
thudded down, cracking the red armor that covered Tarka's shoulder. The Chaos Champion howled and reversed his axe, digging it upwards in a mighty blow. Tarsus stepped back, but not quickly enough, as the edge of the axe drew a spray of sparks from his chest plate and sent him staggering back. The Woebringer crashed into him, driving an elbow into the side of the Lord Celestine's head. His opponent was strong, stronger than any Tarsus had yet faced. He fell and only narrowly managed to avoid his opponent's axe as it crashed down where his head had been. Before the Woebringer could launch another blow, however, a broken sword struck him. Tarsus looked up and saw the fleshless limbs of several skeletons gathered about him protectively. The undead warriors attacked the Woebringer, jabbing at him with splintered spears or hacking at him with blunted, chipped swords. More clung to him, grabbing his arms or the great horns that topped his bestial head. He roared wordlessly, lashing out to shatter a skeleton. The dead thing fell, but crawled back towards him. Gorgorath screamed in agony as they were swarmed by skeletons and dragged down through sheer weight of numbers. The dead rose up amidst the press of the melee and fell upon the Woebringer's warriors with silent savagery, cutting them down even as they fought the stormcasts. Everywhere, the silent legions hurled themselves into the fray, compelled by the vampire's will and sorcery. Tarsus got to his feet as the Woebringer whirled towards him, bleeding from a dozen wounds, but showing no signs of weakness.
I defeated the dead before, and I will do so again. First, I will take your skull, Silver Skin.
The Chaos Leader shrieked as he charged towards Tarsus, smashing aside the skeletons in his path. Tarsus raised his hammer, ready to meet his foe's charge, when a black shadow spread over the road. The Woebringer looked up. Tarsus took advantage of his opponent's distraction and caught the champion with a blow that rocked him off his feet. As he fell, the dread abyssal dropped out of the air and onto the Chaos Champion with a cry. The vampire sat astride the creature and laughed as the Shiggoth's claws tore the life from the fallen warrior. As the creature mauled the body, the vampire looked down at Tarsus and smiled thinly.
I do apologize, my friend, but debts of blood were owed to both the Shiggoth and myself.
Tarsus shook his head and looked around. The battle was over, and now the living and the dead stared at each other warily across the bodies of their common foe.
You have my thanks, vampire.
The vampire chuckled, as if reading his thoughts.
Manfred. I am Manfred.
Manfred, then.
He hesitated, then extended his hand. Manfred stared at it for a moment as if puzzled. Then he clasped Tarsus's forearm.
I am Tarsus, Lord Celestant of these warriors.
And I am Manfred von Carstein, Count of the Hanging Wall.
Manfred bowed deeply with a click of his heels, then straightened.
Do you still wish to find a way into the underworld, friend Tarsus?
Then you did find a gate here?
No, not here.
He slid from the back of his monstrous steed.
But I know and can lead you there.
Why?
Call it a debt of honor. I owe you for freeing me, Tarsus of the Stormcasts.
He paused as if thinking.
Perhaps for more than just that. And as you see, I pay my debts.
Tarsus hesitated. He looked up into Manfred's unblinking yellow eyes, judging. Somehow, he felt as if he had lived through this before, and wondered if it had turned out for the best then. Somehow, he didn't think so. But he had a mission to complete, and live or die, he would see it done.
Lead on then, Manfred von Carstein. Where you go?
The Hallowed Knights will follow.
So there you have it. That's the first audio DVD of the
What legend?
They call it La
Oh.
Garita del Diablo. The
Hammer
Devil's
Age of
Hatred.
Stigma. So basically what I've been doing is basically doing the yellow for the bit. I might have to go over it again, but it isn't looking too bad at the moment. So yeah, thanks for watching. Sorry again, it's quite a long video, but there you go. If you've gone all the way through and listened to it all, or done it in sections, then yeah, cool. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next Age of Stigma update. Also, if you're following my progression with my Phoenix, go over to the group Get It Painted, produced by Idic Beer. I will be posting the next Get It Painted one, next painted video by then, and on that Google page, great page. I hope he does another one for next year as well. So yeah, thank you for watching, and yet again, have a wonderful weekend. Catch you later. Bye.